Healthy arguing techniques. Hi, it's Katya Morozova, dating and relationship coach for men who are ready to attract an amazing woman into their life and have a meaningful and lasting connection. I'm also the founder of KatyaMorozova.me. If you're new to my channel, definitely hit that subscribe button to get notifications when I post a new video every week, giving you the latest dating and relationship tools and techniques that are scientifically grounded and field tested. Healthy and arguing are not two words that you think of that should typically go together, but in fact they do. Arguing is important to a relationship. If you are currently in a dynamic where you're arguing all the time, but the arguments seem to be doing damage to a relationship instead of making it better, it doesn't have to be this way. You can argue in a healthy way, in a way that's constructive, in a way that leads to more peace in your relationship, in a way that leads to more connection and passion, but not the toxic kind of passion where you make up after a really bad and nasty argument. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about arguments that build your relationship, that make it stronger, that bring you two closer together. Here's the reality. Often people buy into the story that relationships are just supposed to work whenever you get into them. And it's just supposed to be effortless and that you don't really have to do much maintenance. That's not the case if you want a lasting relationship. And here's why. The reality is that when you enter into a relationship, you are entering into a relationship with someone who is from an entirely different background, entirely different life experience, entirely different trauma history, upbringing, and social skills. You are in a relationship with someone who is very different from you. And if you are in a masculine and feminine, a polar type of dynamic, then you actually function differently in the world. Your brain works differently from your partner's. Your partner has different patterns. Your partner has a different relationship to arguments. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because it isn't all supposed to be peachy keen whenever you enter into a relationship. At the same time, if you're getting into arguments all the time and they're going nowhere, it might feel like you're in an unhealthy relationship, but it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can be in a healthy relationship where you have arguments. You just have to learn how to argue well. In this video, I'm going to give you tips and techniques that will help you argue in a productive way. So let's get into the tips. The first tip to having a healthy argument is more of a mental frame that I want you to consider. I want you to consider that your partner is actually on your side, that you're not actually arguing against your partner, you're arguing with them. Here's the thing, when most people argue, when they get into arguments in a relationship, they start to feel adversarial. It feels like you're not actually on the same team. But that's not the point of a relationship argument. The reason that it feels that way, the reason that it feels adversarial, besides maybe your partner says some mean things or you say some mean things, the reason that often when we get into arguments with our partner, it almost feels like they're antagonizing us or we're doing that to them is because relationships, committed relationships, are high stakes relationships. You have a lot invested in your partner. You have invested a lot of time, energy, and probably resources. You may even have kids together. This is a high stakes relationship. What that means is that there's a deep part of you that is terrified that if things don't go well in this argument, or if somehow you don't get your way, or if you say the wrong thing, then this relationship could end. When people have such an incredible amount of fear, it can lead to more of an adversarial stance. So I want you to consider that it's okay to be afraid. It truly is okay to be afraid of saying or doing the wrong thing. You also might be really afraid to let go of your side and being right, because you might be really afraid of losing something. So my first tip is really consider that your partner is on your side. Even if it doesn't feel like they're on your side, they really are. Sometimes it just takes that mental shift to where your partner can feel that the two of you are on each other's side, to where they can start to actually take your side as well. Mental frames impact how people view us and how they respond to us. So I don't want you to underestimate just the ability to say, no matter what my partner is saying or doing, we are still on the same team. If you're watching this video, then I imagine that you've already had some unhealthy arguments in your relationship. Arguments that didn't go well, arguments that were unconstructive or maybe even explosive. The next tip that I'm giving you is with the assumption that you've had some arguments that didn't go so well. Enter this next argument in a different way. Instead of immediately launching into what it is that you really want to say, how you want things to go, what you want from your partner, or what you need from them, I want you to frame the argument. Here's what I mean by framing the argument. I want you to imagine that you have a shared commitment. What is the thing that both of you are committed to in the relationship inside of this issue? So let's say you're arguing about children and about that each of you approach parenting your children. Underneath that, you probably have a shared commitment that your child or your children grow up to be upstanding human beings. So consider that the two of you want the same thing and that you're just coming at it from two different places. So the first part of this tip is imagining this shared commitment that you both somehow want the same thing. The second part of this tip is actually sharing your commitment at the beginning of the argument, at the beginning of the conversation. That way, your partner knows that you are actually on the same side as them and you're entering the conversation from a place of agreement. You're actually agreeing on something, which is going to set the tone for the rest of the argument. In this next tip, I want you to let go of being right. This is one of the hardest things to do in a relationship, letting go of being right. I had a mentor who would always say, do you want to be right or do you want love? This is the question that I want you to ask yourself. Is it more important for me to be right in this situation or is it more important for us to have love? The same mentor made a little adjustment to that saying. She would say, do you want to be right or do you want someone to do something for you? I really love that and thought it was hilarious, but I think it's so true. The reality is that you can forever hold on to whatever it is that you need to be right about, but you're only going to lose out on love in the process, and you're probably going to lose out on your partner wanting to do anything for you. So consider this. Do you want to be right, or do you want to have love? Or do you want your partner to do something for you? If you want your partner to do something for you, then I strongly recommend that you let go of being right. Being right is not the easiest thing to let go of, especially if you're feeling really hurt, especially if your partner isn't getting what you are saying. But you always have a choice. And I want you to consider, what would you actually be losing out on if you weren't right in this situation? Is it your dignity? Is it that you would look weak or that you would really lose something? I want you to ask yourself, is that really true? Would you really lose out on your dignity? Would you really be weak in this situation? I think that letting go of being right is one of the bravest, most courageous things that a person can do in any relationship. Let me know in the comments which one of these tips you found most helpful. If you like this video, definitely give me a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, definitely hit that subscribe button and ring the bell if you want to get notifications when I post a video every week giving you scientifically grounded dating and relationship advice. If you want to watch more videos on how to maintain a healthy relationship, definitely check out these videos next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.